In this video, I'll be sharing the pros and cons of visiting Ahangama during the off-season, a few cafes and places you might want to check out, our boutique hotel experience, and some tips that could help you plan your own trip. So make sure to watch until the end. Welcome back to Serendip Tutor. This was actually one of those trips that wasn't planned weeks ahead. It was a spontaneous decision. At around 9 o'clock, we decided, and by 2 o'clock, we were on our way to Ahangama. Now, when we talk about the southern coast of Sri Lanka, roughly May to September is generally considered the off season period because of the southwest monsoon. Of course, the weather can vary and you can still get beautiful sunny days, but you also have to be prepared for rain and changes in weather. So, as I take you through our Ahangama experience, I'll also talk about the advantages and disadvantages of traveling during this season. Our first mission was actually very simple. We wanted to catch the sunset at Kai Ahangama. If you are someone who loves aesthetic cafes, beautiful interior, good lighting and music with an ocean view, this is definitely somewhere you should consider visiting. The whole atmosphere is very Instagram worthy. But for me, one of the highlights was something I hadn't really tried properly before, a kombucha experience. Kai has a really good selection of kombuchas, which is great if you're looking for a non alcoholic drink option. There were different flavors, including things like ginger, turmeric, hibiscus or hibiscus. I went for the hibiscus one and I actually really enjoyed it. So, if you're someone who doesn't drink alcohol or simply looking for something different to try, kombucha is definitely worth considering. It's a gut friendly drink and it's really tasty at Kai Ahangama. And now let's get into our first major advantage of visiting Ahangama during the off season. Everything just feels slower and calmer. You don't feel like you're constantly competing for a table. You don't have huge crowds everywhere. You actually can sit down, enjoy your food, and have a conversation and take in the surrounding. And for me, that's one of the biggest advantages of traveling during off season. You get to experience the destination at a much slower pace. After catching the sunset, we headed to our hotel. We stayed in a beautiful boutique property called Animal, and I really love the design of this place. The colors, architecture, greenery, and the overall atmosphere was beautiful. And there were different activities you could do, and they even had a co-working space. So if you're someone who wants to take a little break but still needs to get some work done, that's quite useful. And this brings me to advantage number two. One of the biggest reasons I would consider traveling during the off season is the possibility of getting beautiful properties at a much affordable price. During peak season, accommodation prices can increase significantly, but during the off season, you can sometimes get really good deals and stay in properties that might otherwise be outside your budget. So, if you're traveling on a budget or simply want to get more value for your money, the off season can be a very good option. Later that evening, we wanted to explore another place in Ahangama called Uncle's. This place has a completely different vibe. The moment you walk in, it almost feels like you've stepped into another era. The music, the people, the murals, the decor, it all creates a very different atmosphere. We tried another kombucha on that day, which was also good. But for me, the highlight was food. I ordered kiribat with fried fish, with kiri hodi sauce, fried onions, chili oil, and those little additions. And oh my god, that was one of the best dishes I've ever had on this trip. So another advantage, even the beaches are less crowded and it's quieter. So personally, I really enjoy that. And you can actually sit, look at the ocean without having thousands of people around you. To take pictures or to create content, this will be the best season to visit. Now, it's not all perfect, and this is something you really need to know before deciding to uh, visit Ahangama during the off season. We actually had plans to visit a few other places, but when we checked, some restaurants and cafes were closed, and that's one of the biggest disadvantages of traveling during the off season. Because there are few tourists, some smaller boutique hotels, cafes, restaurants may reduce their opening hours or close temporarily. And even if a place is technically open, some items on the menu may not be available. So, there is a tip that I want to give. Do your research before you go. Don't simply look at Instagram pages and assume that a place is open. Check their latest posts, check Google updates, and if you can, call them beforehand. So, especially during off season, a little bit more planning goes a long way. After a relaxing evening, the next morning was completely different. There was no rushing around, no strict itinerary, just a slow morning. Before I woke up, my husband had already started exploring the hotel and coloring. So I woke up, I just decided to join in. We had a coffee and started coloring a mandala. It's the first time I'm actually completing that drawing because I start and halfway through I'm very impatient, so I give up. But this time I thought I'll finish it. So when I was coloring, I just understood how relaxing it was. It actually helps me with slowing down, focusing on what I want to do, and I just enjoyed it. So by the time we finished it, we had breakfast ready. So another big advantage of staying at a place like this during off season is that you can get sometimes really good packages. So our breakfast was included with our stay. And after spending almost 2 days exploring Ahangama and the surrounding area, there was one thing that became very clear to me, and that is the weather. During the off season, the weather can change very quickly, and you can have beautiful sunshine one moment and suddenly it starts raining. So, if you're planning a beach day or a particular outdoor activity or surfing, you need to be very flexible. And the sea conditions aren't necessarily ideal every day, so you can't assume that you'll be able to surf whenever you want. And now let's come to the question that I found quite interesting after this trip. Is Ahangama really off season anymore? And my answer is not really. I remember traveling down south during off season when I was younger. You hardly see tourists. You see local travelers and Sri Lankan families everywhere, and that's not the case anymore. Even though we visited during the off season, Ahangama was still quite vibrant. The tourists were around, the cafes were open. So I think there is a nice balance. You get the quieter side of Ahangama and the lively part as well. Another important tip, Ahangama customer service is really good. Staff members are very friendly. So that is another pull factor towards Ahangama. And having a breakfast surrounded by all that greenery was such a lovely way to start the day. The property itself is beautiful. However, there's something you might want to consider if you're planning to stay here. The menu is quite vegan or veg based, so you don't have much meat options available there. I think they only serve sausages, and on that day, that was also not available. So after that slow morning and a breakfast at the hotel, we decided it was time to head out and explore a little bit more. We decided to find somewhere nice for lunch in Ahangama, but of course, this is where the off-season reality came back to us. We checked a few places, but sadly, quite a lot of them were closed. And this is exactly what I was talking about earlier. So rather than spending the entire afternoon searching for somewhere to eat, we decided to take a little drive towards Weligama. If you haven't done this drive before, I definitely recommend it. Weligama is a few kilometers away from Ahangama, and if you take the beach stretch, the drive itself becomes part of the experience. You've got the ocean on one side, greenery and little cafes along the way, and that beautiful southern coast atmosphere. Even though it was off season, we still found that quite a few restaurants were open in Weligama. So we drove around, checked a few places, and eventually settled for a cafe called Plan B. Plan B is a really beautiful, peaceful outdoor cafe. There is greenery everywhere, and the whole place has this very relaxed, laid back atmosphere. And after spending the morning doing absolutely nothing in a good way, this was exactly the kind of place I wanted for lunch. I ordered a Sri Lankan beef curry meal while my husband went for fish and chips. Both dishes were delicious. Honestly, the real star of the meal was the dessert. We ordered the blueberry cheesecake and it was really tasty. If you're driving through Weligama and you're looking for somewhere peaceful to stop for a meal or even just for coffee and dessert, I would recommend Plan B. So, would I recommend Ahangama in the off season? Yes, absolutely. But you need to know what you're getting into. If you do a little research before you travel, check with the restaurants and cafes, look at the weather forecast, keep your plans flexible, then I genuinely think the off season can be one of the best times to visit. You can potentially save a lot of money on accommodation. You'll experience fewer crowd, a relaxed holiday, and you still get to experience the vibrant cafe culture and atmosphere that makes Ahangama so popular. For me, that's a big advantage. So if you're planning your own off-season trip to Ahangama, just remember these points. So that brings us to the end of our little spontaneous Ahangama adventure. And now I'd like to hear from you. Have you visited Ahangama or the southern coast during the off season? If you have, let me know your experience in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss the next one. And follow along for more travel, food, and lifestyle content from Sri Lanka. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.